welcome to the Ultra Running Sam podcast. So quickly, our sponsors. We are proudly sponsored by Yugoku caps. You've seen me wearing them on the podcast. You can get the discount codes from me, send me a message. I'll send them to you. They're floating around. We're also sponsored by Phoenix head torches. Same thing goes. If you're after a discount code, just get in touch. There are there on the web, but if you want them personally from me, I will send them to you. And also, finally, we are proudly sponsored by Home Trails. So Home Trails is my YouTube series interviewing famous trail runners from hopefully around the world at some point. In the UK at the moment, where we interview them on the trail in the home trails. You understand what it is, don't you? You've listened to the show. That's hopefully turning into a bit of a brand, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Okay, on with the actual show. Okay, everyone, welcome to the Ultra Running Sam podcast. Welcome to the preamble. So this may become a habit of just having a little chat before the episode starts. So this episode is with Cameron Wright, and Cameron recently, well, we're going to find out actually his story, but he took over from Jenny Hall, who was a big part of my time at the Spine race whenever I volunteered, especially with media. Obviously, that was her role. She'd left to go elsewhere to continue her career, and Cameron came in to take over her role. So we'll find out exactly what they do, what he did, what she did, and what he's doing now for the Spine race and beyond the ultimate. And we'll dive into his history and what he hopes to bring to the iconic race that we all love. So if you're not a Spine race fan, now is the time to turn off. Okay, but in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll pause record and then we'll let Cameron in shortly. Yeah, yes, we are recording again. So welcome to the Ultra Running Sam podcast, Cameron Wright.
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Good. Yeah, nice one, mate. Thanks for coming on. It's nice to put a face to a name, but I've sort of been following you on Instagram and everything, so I know what you look like, and I've seen some of your videos and everything. So it's nice to like virtually meet you anyway, as opposed to when I'll actually properly meet you at the Spine race in January, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to Spine in January. I think for many it's starting to become Spine season, isn't it? Spine Coon.
Well,
Not
yes.
Christmas they care about or the festive period, it's the Spine race and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, for me, you know, my listeners and viewers are always mocking me for how much I sort of go on about the Spine race and become obsessed at this time of year. But there's plenty of people out there that get just as, if not more, obsessed with the Spine race. So yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people. And I put in the preamble, I was like, if you're not into the Spine race and you get fed up of me talking about the Spine race, now is the time to turn off and not listen to this episode, because we are going to talk about the Spine race among other things.
Yeah, we certainly are. We certainly are.
Awesome. Right. So Cameron, I don't know whether you've heard any of the other podcasts before, but basically, I always start with a new guest, new to the show, unless it's a returning guest. I'll always start with the superhero question. So all ultra runners, anyone involved with ultra running, however you are involved with it, we're all superheroes in one way or another. And obviously, superheroes have an origin story and a backstory. So, Cameron, what is your superhero origin story?
Oh, I mean, wow. Grew up sort of Central Belt, Scotland, small town boy. Bit of a rural upbringing. I spent my childhood running through the woods, fishing, hunting, kind of got a farming adjacent background. So I was always bouncing around the fields, and my old man and my grandpa were right outdoorsmen. So it really was a childhood filled with that. I was right into the Boy Scouts and all sorts growing up. So I feel like the man I am today was forged in those years. That was, yeah. So I mean, And yeah, picked up a camera at university, and never really looked back from then. I had a brief hiatus, blip into teaching, but that didn't work out. I sort of had a postgraduate there yeah, I didn't finish. But that was the best mistake I ever made, because it sort of led me down this weird windy path to find out where I am now. But yeah, I've always been sporty and interested in the outdoors, more so the outdoors than sport really. I sort of tried everything growing up, and nothing really stuck. And then I found climbing, hill walking in my sort of mid-teens, late teens, and then it really took off from there. So yeah, been really into the outdoors, really into photography, and then combining those two passions, and coming to work for Beyond the Ultimate, the Spine Race, has been a bit of a dream come true, to be honest. So yeah, that's where I am there.
Yeah, I'm sure. How did how did you sort of make the connection between say you sort of grew up in the outdoors sort of thing? So how did you get into sort of race photography then? If you were sort of, did you begin just doing like, was your preferred sort of format photography and then move into video, or did one sort of become the other sort of thing?
Yeah, so I mean, I started out photographing mountain biking and then cyclocross, and then so I dipped away from the outdoors a little bit, went back into sports photography, did a bit of football, hockey, all sorts. To be honest, it started out as photography because it's all my camera could do. I had an old Canon, and it was just yeah, it was pretty rubbish. I just made do with whatever I could, and then yeah, I started out. My mate had ran a bike club, a kids bike club. That's where it all began. First year university, I was looking for some experience outside of my coursework, and I thought, you know what, I need to try and get out and find something to do. And he was like, "Oh, come along and photograph our bike race." And from there, it just took off. I photographed all sorts of good stuff. Got in with Scottish cycling and British cycling, the kind of governing body there, and did a bit of media work with them. And that was really, really valuable to my early portfolio, and also me learning as a photographer. Photographing bikes is hard, it's fast, especially mountain biking. So and doing that with to be honest, pretty rubbish kit was also a challenge. So I had to get really creative. And from there, I built the experience out, added a little bit to the kit, sort of scrimped and saved, and did what I could to to explore. But I didn't start doing video until more recently within my career. Once I'd graduated, I was looking for different ways to differentiate myself. I had done a bit of broadcast production within my degree, so I had a sort of technical understanding, but I didn't really know how to apply that in the real world. And when I quit my teaching postgraduate, I was like, right, I need to actually do something here. I need to find out what I'm going to do with my life. I'd always loved the camera, and I was always doing sort of odd jobs on the side. And I thought, right, I'm going to throw myself into this. Started a little freelance gig, and then yeah, spent a little while. I mean, I did all sorts. Yeah, all sorts of different content, mountain biking, outdoors. Yeah, it's just a bit of everything. To be honest, I would say yes to everything and figure it out afterwards. And then found out that video, I think my biggest skill set as a person is that I've got good vision and an ability to execute at something. When I can kind of see the finished product almost as I'm filming it, and that's been an immensely useful skill that I've sort of worked on and developed over the years, and that lends itself to video.
Mm.
Well, yeah, and then there we go. That's sort of worked my way through and got lucky to where I am now.
Yeah, amazing. Just going back to your point about having saying you had rubbish kit to begin with, do you think that makes you into a better creator? To sort of begin with, with because obviously someone could have a bit of money, could come because I mean I know you'll probably know these kind of people, and I know them as well that they've got money and they go and buy a load of really expensive kit and take a few photos or a couple of videos and then don't do anything with it, and I'm there like, oh, if only I could get my hands on that kit, I could use that so much, but I can't afford it myself. Do you think do you think, like you say, do you think it makes you more creative to start from nothing and work your way up to the more expensive gear?
Yes, yes, a little bit like the Rocky Balboa, isn't it? You know, you're sort of in the running about in the cold in the morning without any of the fancy gear. I think there's something in that. I think that to anyone, and I think in any pursuit in life, stripping it back to the fundamentals is something really important. And if you don't do that straight away, it harms you in the long term. I mean, I'm by no means a particularly technical photographer, videographer. There's far better than me out there, in almost every aspect of the game. But I found because I had, yeah, because I had poor kit, because like my degree was media related, but we didn't do a lot of technical work either. I didn't have access to very much, and I think having to work out how the best way to eke out shutter speed and learn all these little fundamental skills and also have because I was forced to be creative. I think that does help, and in the same way that people that don't have a lot of training equipment often are long term end up to be better runners or better cyclists. It's because they've had to get creative with their training methods and not one stuck in one fixed methodology. And at the end of the day, I think it definitely benefits you to force yourself. And actually, if you are someone that's come in to the hobby or come into videography, photography, and wants to, and has a little bit of money and has bought yourself some expensive kit, try and jump in there, strip everything back, and get creative. Force some constraint on yourself. Buy a cheap film camera and just see what you can do when you take away all the fancy and helpful aids, and just kind of see what your brain forces you to come up with, and what unique circumstances you can put yourself in.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose you've got to know the basics, haven't you? And you've got to know those skills sort of inside and out, haven't you? Yeah, there's only so much a good bit of kit will do for you, isn't there? If you haven't got an eye for a shot, then sometimes that's like you can have somebody. I always think of like when I've seen Will like going and shooting just like on an old camera with just film and stuff like that, just because he wants that raw experience of not having all singing or dancing gear and just going back to basics and doing film and stuff like that. I know like David Miller, he does stuff like that as well, like going and shooting on film and stuff. And I always my wife was she in her former work life before she was a hairdresser she's very arty but she went to college and did art and photography and she ended up becoming a wedding photographer and it's basically just like sapped all of the love of photography out of her over the years because she was just having to do the same things over even though you can be creative to a certain degree it just kind of became it turned into a job for her and it went from being something that she loved to being something that she kind of begrudged having to do and I don't know what my point was don't know where I was going with that.
That's it. That's the challenge, and especially when you do something that you enjoy and you begin to work with it. And I think for me, I mean, where I am at the moment, I'm incredibly fortunate. And you were talking about Will there. Will and I were out in Kenya just earlier this year, and yeah, he was snapping away on the film camera as well as ensuring he was getting the shots on his digital. And yeah, it's amazing to see another photographer's process. And we work with lots of different people, especially in the adventure sports industry. You can't always guarantee the shot. You'd never get a second chance as well. So it's amazing to watch people's different takes and approaches to ensure they get a cracking picture. And yeah, some of these guys that can and gals out there that can produce these amazing shots. The foresight to be able to almost imagine what's happening, what's the runner going to do when they approach you, what's the scene going to look like, how do you get those really gritty shots that everybody wants to share that Jasmine Paris sat by the gate. Sort of, those iconic moments that you can't really predict that, and that's the most interesting part of our industry and our style of photography is that you've got to just and videography as well is you got to be ready at all times, and if you're not ready, then you're going to pay for it in the edit.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to be ready to catch lightning in a bottle, haven't you?
Yeah,
Especially
absolutely.
that shot of yeah, that iconic shot of Jasmine Paris by the gate. That's a classic, isn't it? Right, so your role at the spine race and beyond the ultimate then. So what exactly is your job description? So have you technically taken over from Jenny then, or is that a different job?
So it's a bit of an amalgamation. In coming into my role, and then obviously with Jenny's departure, I'm the digital communications lead across both brands. So like my background, as we sort of discussed, was my degree was more marketing focused. So I bring a little bit of marketing nous and experience, and my content creation skill set lends itself and fits into that. So my job is all about capturing amazing content, creating we have the coolest jobs in the world, and that we work in these amazing races, with these amazing communities and these phenomenal storylines going throughout them. And that's ultimately what every one of these races is. Each individual person's got a story. My job is to try and capture that in some way and then promote it across and to help us grow the races and help us showcase exactly what we're doing and to make sure that people that are taking part in the races have an amazing experience before, during, and after. And a lot of that is built around being able to see what it looks like on there. So you got to see the runners at every point to decide if you want to do it or not, and that's kind of my job there. So I do a little bit of what Jenny did with the marketing work and the top level strategy, and then I do a little bit of the content creation and I sort of smash it together and hopefully, hopefully anyone that follows that's a fan of this, that follows the Beyond the Ultimate or Spine Race pages, you'll see that we're trying to really increase our volume, putting lots of good stuff out, and showcase the whole breadth and depth of people that take part in our races. And
Mm.
yeah, it's just a really exciting place to be.
I have noticed that. I must admit that because the spine race, like the spine Instagram, used to, no offense to anyone that was doing it before, sort of thing, but it used to go quite quiet in between the races, didn't it? Where there was basically like radio silence from the spine race, and that kind of, I don't know whether that sort of added to the sort of mystique of the race, that there'd be like radio silence for like months and months and months, and then obviously a race would be coming, either the summer race or the big winter race, and things would start ramping up again. But I've noticed that you've kind of kept things ticking over, haven't you? And you keep putting things on, and it keeps reminding people that the race is there, that it's not long until the race starts up again. It not, doesn't just like appear overnight like it used to. No offense to who was doing it before.
I think there's something to be said for that, though. I love for example, we talked a little bit about the Berkeley's. It's that sort of enigmatic
Yeah,
experience,
yeah.
and we never want to lose that with the spine, especially as we sort of look at developing and expanding. But that's why there's a bit more noise in there as well. Obviously, we have our Arctic race series now,
Mm.
which takes place on the Koensleden Trail, and that's really built into the ethos of create the hardest thing possible and see if anyone can do it. And that was Phil's ethos when he created that. When they were back and they were creating the spine as well. But obviously, from our perspective, we've got loads more to talk about now outside the races as compared to what we did a few years ago. We've got a lot more race on individually and way more stories. We've obviously got our amazing partnership with Montaigne as well, and the team there are like mega supportive, and are always keen to share and put a few bits across. So yeah, it's just a lot more to go out than there was in the past, and that's exciting for us. Obviously, got all our technical bits as well when we were filming with Phil, and he was showing you how to get dressed for the Arctic race. He's getting a tire out to show you how to train dragging a
Yeah.
tire park and things like that. So there's these little bits that we can have a bit of fun, and also the people that are following us that are interested in ultra and ultra distance, ultra endurance, hopefully find it all a bit interesting as well. And yeah, just as we say, it's all about kind of making the community feel heard and giving them information and things like that. So that's something that we're keen to keep doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love obviously, like Beyond the Ultimate and the Spine Race is like they're like the perfect amalgamation, aren't they, of those two things? Because yeah, I'd not realised until when I went to when the Spine had the showing of the film. Was that last year or the year before? I can't keep track of when it was, in Sheffield, and they showed the Spine film, and it was the 10-year anniversary and stuff, and I not realised that Phil's original idea was that he wanted, like, basically like the Arctic spine was supposed to be like his original idea, wanted it of being like the toughest thing that you could do in the worst conditions. But then he realized that he hadn't got the infrastructure to do that, so he did it in the UK. And obviously the perfect thing to do was to do the Pennine Way, and that's how the spine became the spine. So for him, so I remember him saying that once Beyond the Ultimate, joined together with the spine and everything, that he'd got that dream of doing that race, Phil had, but Beyond the Ultimate had all of the gear for doing it and the expertise to be able to go and do that sort of thing. And it was like a perfect combination of those two things coming together. So it was like the realization of like a goal that Phil had had for a long time. So
That's it. Yeah, I mean the wider team across both brands. They share many of the same staff, and obviously Phil's got his decades of polar experience, but being able to widen that out to the sort of events and operations experience, and the medical team as well from Global Expedition Medics that support on all the races. It's all these moving parts that, as you say, 10, 15 years ago when these ideas were first sort of concepted, weren't there. And now we've
mm,
got the benefit of all of that coming together, and it allows us to have some absolutely daft things like the Koensleden. I mean, that's a crazy race. Just to talk on that one for a second. I'm going to be out
yeah.
there this year, and I'm pretty excited about that. And we're heading out for a training course relatively soon as well for some of the runners that are going to be on that one. People are trying to get a little bit of a head start, and that's something that we offer. And yeah, it's great to see. It's like the when you take the spine and the spine prep and everything that goes into the spine, and just how challenging that is, and then taking that and then also dropping the temperature 20 to 25, 30 degrees and giving you a sled to pull. It's just layers upon layers of insanity that, to be honest, anyone that's going out to give that a try, fair play to you, because
Mm.
it's not easy from every part of the spine upwards.
Yeah, yeah, I must admit that when I went over in January when I did the race and I went over Crossfell and it was like knee deep snow and allegedly -20, then I could imagine pulling a sled over that and thinking that I was in the Arctic.
Exactly. Yeah. These iconic shots of all of the snow covered.
Yeah,
Yeah. It might add
yeah.
a bit to it if you also had a sled on your back.
Well, I probably could have done with a sled to pull all my kit. That's for sure. Lots of kit.
Right down the hill afterwards.
And then right down, yeah, right down the hill the other side. Yeah, that would have worked actually. Um, so with your all of your experience and everything in media and stuff, coming into, coming into the spine race, are you aware of the sort of gravity of your job, um, presenting, putting that race out in media sort of thing? Because every year, I've only worked on the media team once before, a couple of years ago, and then I won a place in the race this year, so I did that. But I still had FOMO of like not being on the media team at the same time, which is ridiculous that I was doing the race, but still wanted to be on the media team at the same time. But are you aware of the sort of gravity of your job? Like, because people every single year they make comments like, "I can't believe like the media coverage gets better and better every year." Do you feel any pressure coming into that role?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Always feel pressure, especially with an event with such a tight knit and vocal community as the spine that's so passionate. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, my background isn't really at all in ultra running. Got an outdoorsy background, mainly mountaineering for me, but I'd heard of the spine years ago, and to come in and work with a race of this gravity, and similarly across the Beyond the Ultimate race as well, there's just this expectation of I mean, they're amazing events and being able to showcase that and you can never showcase exactly what it's like to be in there. And if you can capture even 10% of that, it's amazing. And the team at this spine for years have done an amazing job. And to come on and support Will as well and work with him is absolutely incredible. And my role really is to help us just elevate that technical level a little bit and see what we can do to get more coverage out. We've obviously got Ryan's amazing videos that are coming out every day, and the fact that he's banging them together, in the car, his missus is driving them around, and like it's phenomenal. So there's all these amazing parts across the course, and just extra firepower really to help pull it all together. And I think this winter as well, it's gonna be really exciting. We've got some really cool things in the works. We've been working on. We can't quite talk about. But when you see them, you'll hopefully really value that, and the dot watchers as well. It's such an important part of it, and that's something that we're really keen to make sure there's even more out there for all the legions of people following from home and getting excited. So yeah, there's lots coming, and I think from our perspective, it's such a technical challenge being able to mix it all together and get all these moving parts and organising that from the troops on the ground taking the photos to the media, it's almost like a command centre in the media room, and then out back to the tracker teams and all sorts of different people at different places, press, and just making sure that we can do as amazing a job as possible of covering as many stories as possible. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's the storytelling. It's
Yeah.
the individual person, as you say, crossing crossfells up to their knees, -15. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? And is it their first race, their 50th race, or what is it in between? And how do you capture and cover that and share that out to the world, so that if somebody sitting at home that wants to give it a go goes, well, there's wee Mary giving it her first bash. I mean, I can do it too. And I think that's what we want to get out of it. And for years that's been what's been done, and you can only do more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I laughed when you mentioned Ryan and his videos that he does every day. Like everybody literally like sits waiting for those videos to come through at night. And I remember when I worked on the race, so when last year, the year before, was it last year? I can never keep track of when what year it was because it's always in January. But not this last race, the race before that. And I sort of was new to the media team. I knew a few people off the media team from sort of chatting to them over the years when I've been on the race and stuff. Um, but I remember meeting Ryan for the first time, and it was at Hebden, and he was in like the little room that the media team were using. Sort of there is like a little command station with Will and everything, sort of doing bits and bobs on laptops. And I went in, and I was chatting to everybody, and he just sat there looking at his like on his laptop, never looked up the whole time, and I thought. He's a bit rude, and then I found out later who he was and realized that, when you see those videos coming out every night, you realize that he's literally like got his head buried in that footage and he's going through everything and he's putting those amazing like roundup videos out every single night that are just phenomenal on their own. Like I'd be happy to just produce one of those videos like in my career as in media, and he's banging them out every single night of the race. It's just like that's like testament to the skill of the people that have been working on the race for years. And I do my little bits for the race, but for me it's more like a privilege to work on the spine race and do bits of media. So, and I'm sure you've got plenty of people that feel the same way as well.
Well, that's it. It's about contributing to a part of the whole, isn't it? And everything from the super glossy stuff that Ryan produces to the team on the ground. It's someone snapping a couple of photos and everyone in between that whole range of photographers, people doing social media and people supporting that in the background, the press team. It's such a massive moving part, and that just goes to the whole spine operation, right? It's so full of amazing volunteers and people from this
Mm.
phenomenal community that's just been built around this bonkers idea, and that's what's so special about it, isn't it? And that's where the idea, I think, grips people so much about the spine, and that's how you get all sorts of people, dot watchers that have never ran a mile in their life to experienced ultra runners following the race just because it's interesting, it's amazing. It's always just how it's not even able to comprehend how people can step on that start line and choose to do it, and that's
Mm.
yeah, I've been part of the media team. You're almost at the forefront of that, and being able to share those stories and share why.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. It's like if you're a fan of the race, it's like the best job ever at other than I suppose when you're on checkpoint and you see and you get to everyone's fighting over the shift where they know that all the front runners are going to come through on and stuff. But when you're on media, you get literally to like chase them around all up and down the country. So it's like a dream job if you're a fan of ultra running and you're a fan of the people that are obviously at the front, and then and not just the people at the front as well. I know I spent like a good probably like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, just on what is that Flaming Hill? I can't remember the name of it now. It's the last horrible hill that you have to go up to before you drop down and get to Hawes, and I can't remember the name of it. It's gone out of my head. It's the really long road that goes up. That's it, the Cam High Road. There, I spent ages just with all I'd got was a GoPro, and I stood at the top and I was waiting for people to come up, and you could see him coming from a mile away basically. So I like was picking my victims as they came up, and I just literally just like filmed them, just telling their story of what they'd gone through the night and everything. And afterwards didn't really put any like credit to those bits that I'd recorded, because I was at the time in the race, I was more concerned with getting the shots that I'd been told I've got to go and get. Like, you need to go and get this runner and that runner, get in through this section and film them, or find out bits of information. And these extra bits of filming that I'd done in between, I'd kind of forgotten about, but I put them all together into like just like and I put them on YouTube and just put them on as like media team spine highlights sort of thing, and didn't really think anything of it until like thousands of people like watched it and were sending me messages saying, "Oh, you interviewed me going over such and such and such. I'm so glad that you put it in the video." And I'm like, I don't know who these people are. I don't remember talking to them, but I literally just like spent 10 minutes asking them how the night went, and they told me, how they'd like been absolutely blown sideways, like soaked in rain, and somebody had like offered them a bacon sandwich, and they'd got out of the rain for half an hour, and it obviously, to me, it was just like a little soundbite, but for them it like meant the absolute world to have somebody talk to them about their race. And I think that you're right, that's the beauty of the race, isn't it? Capturing those stories that people don't necessarily, it's not necessarily like front page news for the spine race, but for that person doing the race, it like can mean the absolute world to them, can't it?
That's exactly it. It's one of those things that, I mean, for me, I think that they're really interesting stories. Hearing about the front runners and people really pushing the limit. I mean, obviously, it's great to hear, but personally, I'm pretty slow. I'm pretty slow at everything I do. And when it comes to sport and exercise, I'd definitely be right at the back in one of these endurance challenges. And those, for me, are the stories that I find the most compelling. People that are out there on their feet for 3 or 4 times as long as the front runners, out through the night. It's just what kind of over personal struggles are you overcoming to be in those spaces, and why are you there? That's the most interesting bit, isn't it? Are you just want to be the toughest guy on the planet? Have you got are you looking for a pub story? Are you soul searching for something? Are you kind of running purist and you just want to get the most running, you want to tick all the running bits off? Why are you there? Like, which one of these people are you, and what's led you to be in this moment, putting yourself through absolutely unimaginable torture to that's the joy of the job, isn't it? And from the media perspective, that's those are the nuggets you look for, and those are the bits that really impact people as well. When you show that to your family at home, and you've done one of these amazing experiences, you've ran one of the ultras beyond the ultimate, or from one of the spine races, and you go home and you tell your mates at work, and they go, what was it actually like? Showing them the video of you in that moment, that's how you explain it, isn't it? When you're being sick in a bush, and it's the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, and some nice person's just giving you a cup of tea because you look horrible coming past the house, not doing well. And those are the stories, isn't it, that keep you good. You've slept in a bus shelter or something like that. That's how do you describe that to someone without being in the moment? And that's the
Yeah.
value of having like this whole slew of media team across the board.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I was immediately thinking about the little snippet for footage of me from this year's race back in January, where I'd just come out of the church. Um, It's Burness, isn't it? Yeah, it's Burness. Just come out of the church at Burness. And I'd literally like slept for 20 minutes, fully clothed with all my kit, my pack on and everything. Literally just lay on the floor, on the cold wooden floor, freezing cold, but just managed to sleep for like 20 minutes. And I like got up and sort of dragged myself outside. And Ryan was there with his camera. And he was like, started to ask me questions. And I was like, you don't recognize me, do you? He's like, and he like looked at me and was like, I know you, don't I? I was like, yeah, we worked together on the media team last year. It was like, oh, I've just realised who you are. Because obviously, me thinking I look like me, but actually, when I look at the photos of me when I finished, I
Yeah.
look nothing like me at all. Like, absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, and delirious in those moments, not slept for 4 days.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's just I'll treasure that little snippet of me for like 30-second interview or something like that. But I know that that is there on one of the spine like end of the day race like recap videos, and it will always be there. And when I want to remind myself of how hard that race is, I can look at that and look at the look on my face and realize how terrified I looked. Well, not terrified, just tired.
That's it. I mean, each one of these clips, it becomes part of running history as well. The spine is an iconic race, and by being part of it and by being showcased within it, you're becoming a part of running heritage, and ultra running heritage. And I think it's amazing to be working as part of a project that has that sort of appeal and status. And that footage will be archived in years to come when we think about the history of all these great ultra runners, or these events that people have done, these amazing challenges. There'll be, I'm sure, some junior researcher working for a production company in 100 years' time, trawling through finding clips of people sleeping on benches and running through snow-covered streets and over Hadrian's Wall. And I think there's, it's amazing to just be part of that community and be one of many amazing stories that are all shared experiences.
Yeah. And there's stuff that becomes like iconic even during the race week as well, isn't there? I always think of like who who gets the most iconic photo early in the race of them looking horrific, like the beard full of snow and stuff. And those or they're like the goggles are all frozen up and covered in ice and everything. And they're like the iconic photos, and people take great pride in it. Oh, that was me, that was me, and they repost it on social media saying that was me, that was the photo, that was the iconic photo of me.
That, yeah, the ladies with their like hair frozen over their faces, and yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's those
Way
moments.
good. It
Unfortunately.
helps to have a big bushy beard. definitely.
Definitely is.
It's
Yeah.
not so busy now. Right. Okay. So beyond the ultimate then. So what's it like having to work with Chris King?
Chris is great. It's like energy all the time. I'm a golden retriever, me, so having anybody that can match my chutzpah is great. And working with Chris is phenomenal. I mean, I feel like the whole team across Beyond the Ultimate Spine took a real chance on me to come in pretty untested, and I think people saw. I don't know what they saw in me, but whatever they saw in me that allowed me to come into this line of work, and something I'm immensely thankful for, and it's a real privilege to get to go out to all these races and these amazing places and get to tell these amazing stories. But yeah, there's been a part of Chris's team and seeing the real passion he has for all the races and the environments and actually the local people. That was the thing that I think I didn't understand it Beyond the Ultimate until I got out there. And I saw it a lot in the Highland, but I really saw it when we were out in Peru for the Jungle Ultra out there, and been able to speak to local people to see how the race has shaped and impacted their lives over the years. And looking at, I did like a film week where I looked at loads of archival footage from the first race out there to now, and it's just incredible to track that. Kenya was another one where you look and speaking to the rangers and seeing just how much value they've had from that amazing collaboration that we do there with four rangers and Save the Rhino and ourselves, and the real value that the people have that live in these environments, knowing that people from around the world want to come and see where they live and put money into their local community and support them. And yeah, I mean, to be in Peru in the jungle, sat with the runners just after they ran the ultra marathon through all these amazing landscapes through the jungle, and to have the chief of a local sort of indigenous group called the Wakarians, so I think about 5 people on the planet speak their language. Amazing.
Wow.
Lesson. And so he came and he spoke to them about the Icaros and the way in which they feel that people aren't giving thanks to nature, and that clearly what he's talking about there manifests itself in man-made climate change. And to be able to go out there into those environments and to have all the runners with us as well, who all come from these amazing diverse backgrounds and have these different experiences and had their own experiences running the race, to then get to have that cultural exchange as well, and to hear firsthand from people on the sharp end of all sorts of local and indigenous issues. I mean, that race is amazing. It's got 55 locals that are out there driving for us. There's hundreds more that work in adjacent roles to the race itself. And I mean, the whole community, everybody knows somebody that works in the race. Kids are coming out of school as you run through the little townships and villages because their uncle's one of the drivers, and they're all cheering the runners on. And it's amazing. And that's the same across all the Beyond the Ultimate races. And I think what Chris and the wider team there from Beyond the Ultimate and from our friends and partners across the globe have managed to capture. I mean, I think that is a true lightning in a bottle sort of situation. It's just, yeah, fortunate luck in a lot of places for things to line up, and then a hell of a lot of hard work afterwards. And coming to that is amazing. It's really enjoyable.
It amazed me when I spoke to Chris before about the races, that they put on the global race series, and it sort of my mind boggles at the logistic nightmare that must be to organize those races. But like you've just said, he sort of said that they rely a lot on the infrastructure that's already there, like with people that they built relationships with over the years, and that can put those kind of races on. What what's it like for you, sort of going out there? If you obviously for the first time going out to places like Peru and everything, obviously race photography has its own sort of issues and problems and things that you hurdles you have to get over. But what's it like sort of going into that kind of environment for the first time with a camera?
Yeah, it's got its challenges to say the least. I've been really fortunate to rely on some amazing contacts, and I mean, firstly the support from the operations team, from Dean and Lisa, from the directors, Archie, Simon, Chris, the whole squad beyond that run the Beyond the Ultimate operation. I've just got it nailed. So professional, from start to finish, and the medical team as well, from Global Expedition Medics. The guys and gals out there, they're just phenomenal, absolutely world class. So you're going out there, you're in good hands and you're in safe hands, whether you're a runner or a crew member. But taking the camera into that environment is challenging. Sports photography in the UK has got its challenges, and I grew up in Scotland, filming mountain biking, photographing mountain biking, so I've had many a minging day. But it's when you chuck in massive biting ants and every bush being spiky and massive downpours, mud up to your knees, river crossings. It gets pretty gnarly. And I was out there with Adam Jacobs, who was photographing with us at one point. He took a header and doused himself and his camera into a river. Was on the spot. We're trying to dry out lenses in the middle of somewhere with 95% humidity at 35 degrees. So you face all these challenges trying to get condensation out of lenses, and then when it comes to getting the shot as well, there's the runners are coming past you and you get one go. We did quite a bit of the race on foot because it's completely inaccessible. You don't have the luxury of being in the back of a camera car there. Jumped in the truck bed of a pickup truck, filming parts of the race and then off running through sections with the runners, hiking through other sections, getting ahead and getting behind. And the actual logistics of covering that is really challenging. And actually any plan you had for what your shots were going to look like before the race goes completely out the window the second you get into that environment. So yeah, really, it's a gnarly place. And I think seeing the runners experience it for the first time was mind blowing. To sit in the cloud rainforest, when you're 3,500 meters above sea level, sitting in this dense jungle with the clouds hanging low below you. It's an absolutely mind-boggling place, and absolutely chock full of nature and animals, flora and fauna. It's just crazy. And to have the runners just watching their faces for the first time when they look down the valley and they can see the race route. They can see the first stage of the race winding down this huge road that goes down the valley, and just how steep it is as it progresses. It's crazy. And that region, that Cosnipata sort of area of the Amazon, the municipal area is wild. It's just like a one road, one street towns, it's like the Wild West. And it's a truly beautiful part of the world. It's a gorgeous rainforest, Peruvian Amazon. You go from the Andes and you end up at the in the basin of the Amazon. It's just a phenomenal place. It's a really cool place to be.
Yeah, but it is. What's been your sort of favorite trip that you've done so far to go and shoot?
I've had a few amazing trips so far, and I think being out in Kenya and meeting some of the rangers that are supported by that race and by the amazing work done by Save the Rhino and Four Rangers and all the partners out there with the conservancies, and and meeting some of those guys and girls that are out there on the sort of front line of the fight against poaching. And to see just how amazing it's been over the last 10, 15, 20 years, the way in which they've transformed a place that was losing rhinos and the rhino population was completely plummeting to now where they've got it stabilized and they're supporting local communities. And it's just, that was incredible. And being able to see runners of all ilks from the US to Japan and everything in between was incredible. You can't pay for that experience any other way. You could drop hundreds of thousands of pounds, you still wouldn't be allowed to be out your car in the Middle East conservancies. And being able to run through that landscape in the sort of birthplace of humanity, in the home of long distance running, with elephants and rhinos and the rangers who look after them all around you. I mean, being able to be a part of that was a true blessing for me. And to be honest, it's a photographer's dream, that place, because everywhere you look, there's something to take pictures of, whether it's the runners or the wildlife or even just the landscape. If you stripped all the runners and the wildlife out of it, the landscape of that part of Kenya is just truly beautiful. These stunning rolling hills. And really, really, that was an amazing experience. And I think all of our races are incredible, and they all take you to such different, varied places. But there's something for everybody within Beyond the Ultimate. Like if you're, depending on what you want, if you like the cold or the heat or something in between, you'll find something amazing there.
Yeah, definitely. Just thinking about those harsh environments. Is there been any moments where you've sort of felt like your life was in danger a little bit, or thought this could get a bit hairy?
I mean, not so much in danger, but plenty of hairy moments. I think when it comes to, as a photographer, you're always trying to protect your kit, and job number one of me is to make sure that at the end of the day, those SD cards come out of that camera and they get backed up. You lose your footage. And I mean, when we were out in the Highlands this year, we were blessed on day 2 and 3 that the weather picked up and it was pretty nice. But west coast of Scotland, Knoydart Peninsula, I think it's got to be some of the worst potential weather of anywhere in the global race series, which is mad to think that it's on the British Isles that the worst weather might be. But I mean, I've lived in Scotland the whole life. I've been outdoorsy here, and I've been up a lot of mountains, done a lot of climbing, and I'm no stranger to a bad day. But that first day we had on out there in Noidart was it's probably the worst weather I've ever experienced. It was properly battering rain. I mean, there was rivers running down the hills we were going up, and people were slipping and sliding left, right, and centre. Every step you took was treacherous. In case your camera gear went, you went for a slide, and the cameras went with you. And we were following a couple of runners down, and we could work. We were following the path they'd taken by the amount of bum slides we could see in the wet grass. It was like rivers running around us. So I mean, that's got to be some of the craziest weather conditions I've ever been in my entire life. And me and Andrew Leinster, another amazing, great young photographer, that was out with us there, like just trying to protect our kit. It was like waterproof covering for it, waterproof jackets over it, sacrificing yourself for your camera gear. And then even at the end of the night, we were like desperately trying to get the gear dried out, cotton swabs and dehumidifier and kit that we had with us. And we were sat in a tent in the middle of a muddy field trying to dry our gear out, and just nothing was happening. So that was a real challenge out there. It's probably the worst, most brutal weather conditions I've ever experienced in my life.
Uh, and obviously up next, wait, is there anything now between now and the spine? If are you going out again?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm off to Namibia in just 2 weeks' time for our Desert Ultra. Um, so that's going to be a whole different experience compared to the rest of the global race series. It's just hot, hot, hot out there. Um, and for ultra runners as well, desert racing, there's quite a lot of desert races out there. But I think what makes the Desert Ultra quite unique and the environment it's in is the Namib itself. It's this coastal desert. It's a sort of strange landscape. It's a rock desert as well, but yeah, it's got some of the world's sort of biggest sand dunes.
Mm.
And a race from Beyond the Ultimate there is quite a small, tight knit community. There's about 50 runners go out to that one. Everybody sleeps in sort of tents around the campfire. So there's a real feeling of this sort of shared experience. At night everyone comes out, they sit by the fire, they sort their kit, they talk about their day. You're under the stars in this truly ancient place. I mean, there's cave paintings in the Spitzkoppe Mountains that are 30, 40,000 years old. It's really one of these sort of places in which humanity originates, and you can really feel that out there under the completely open skies. The Skeleton Coast is full of shipwrecks, and it's a
Mm.
crazy part of the world. Daytime temperatures hitting 45 degrees, nighttime temperatures dropping down to just above zero. So it's a place of absolute extremes. There's desert adapted jackals, and you get giraffes and these rhinos and elephants with huge ears sort of moving through the scrubland, and these bizarre rock formations. They're like these big, huge towers that come out. These appear out of the desert, like these big sentinels. It's totally otherworldly. It's like something out of a Dune, like a science fiction film. And for the runners themselves to go through that, it's a desert race with a bit of variety. So it's a really cool place, and yeah, I'm excited to get out and get out there and film the runners going through and just seeing those experiences. And I think this year we've got like a great pack of female runners that are going to be fighting for first. And we've got John Shield, who's a name that I'm sure many of your followers will be familiar with.
I know
John's
John well.
looking for redemption. The desert got him the last time he was out there, and this time he's out for revenge. And then
Yeah.
I sort of move down the pack. There's a whole we've got a good core of Danes. We've got a good whack of different runners from different backgrounds, and I think it'd be really cool to see how they separate out. And we've got some really really good folks from some of that have done our previous races, a few newcomers. It'd be really nice to see how they all go.
Mm.
Yeah, as the pack progresses and gets through it, as you say, it's all about the stories. And I think for each individual, the desert race it's a place where you're on your own a lot in some pretty desolate places, and it's somewhere that you can really get deep into your own thoughts and into your own head, and that's where that mental fortitude's got to come. And an individual person's got their own coping method. And the desert of all places, in the jungle, you almost don't have time to think in the jungle. Everything you come up to is an obstacle. In the desert, when you're out there on one of those massive dunes, you could be trudging up a sand dune for an hour, and you're just you and your steps and the sort of whistling sands as they pick up around you in the light wind, and it's a pretty isolating experience, I think, for the runners to go out there.
Mm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how John does. Yeah, I felt bad for him when he's so enthusiastic. That's what I love about John, and he throws himself into races. And then like when stuff goes wrong for him, I'm like absolutely heartbroken for him because and know how much he's put into a race because he tells you every bit of it and how strongly he feels about it. So you can't help but like just feel absolutely gutted for him when something doesn't go to plan for him. And so I hope his feet hold together for this one.
Yeah, well, definitely, yeah. Hopefully, it won't get soggy. Hopefully, so I might
Yeah.
protect the blisters a little bit. But yeah, it's a real challenge, isn't it? And
Mm.
it's I think each individual runner's approach is fascinating. From our perspective, we kind of get to see it all too, which is the most exciting bit. You get to see, as the race goes on, you're kind of chatting amongst the members of the crew, who's doing well, who's going to go here, they're going to blow up on day three, and it's fascinating to see each individual strategies and trying to work your way around that, and yeah, get out into the sands with the camera. It's going to be really cool to follow some of the runners and see how they go on.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. So from one extreme to the other, then. So from the heat of the desert, then January comes around and
Yeah.
the spine is there. So obviously, so the year before it was a rainy year. This year just gone was a cold, cold year. What are you hoping for weather-wise?
I mean, I'm gonna bring the rain with me, aren't I? That's unfortunately where my second goal seems to rain. To be honest, I think for the runners, like a cold year where the rain stays off a little bit, that's kind of what you want, right? That's going to give people the best chance to get to the finish. But I can't say there isn't a little bit of me that loves it when it gets really tough out there and people just have to dig deep and show their true grit. The toughest gals, the toughest guys. That's kind of what you want to see a little bit, don't you? And that's where those amazing moments come in. But I think this year, I mean, we've got pretty good pack at the front this year. We've got lots of runners all the way from the middle to the back of the pack as well that are going to give it a great go. Obviously, the introduction of a few different categories again this year, so we're going to see the sprints coming in now. There've been a couple of years of them, so people having a go maybe perhaps at some of the um the times there, trying to really push themselves. I think the challengers are going to be really exciting this year. Yeah, it's an exciting time to come into it.
Mm.
Obviously, our pals at Montaigne are getting everybody kitted out as well, and they're going to be down there supporting, and I just think it's going to be a great experience this year to be in there and be part of the media team and just to see it all happen. And yeah, it's exciting stuff.
It is. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, did I see it right that, or is that, or was that wrong that I saw that Tom Evans was doing Challenger South, or was it a different Tom Evans? I think I may have mentioned this to Will, and Will was going to find out whether it was the Tom Evans, the UK, and then obviously there's could be another Tom Evans listening, thinking, no, that's me.
That's
It's
great.
not.
I
It's not the world famous ultra runner Tom Evans.
I'm not sure actually. I think there is a Tom Evans, but I'm not sure if it's the Tom Evans,
Yeah,
which would be very exciting if it
it will
was.
be interesting to see.
But let
Yeah.
me. I'm going to do a will, and I'm going to say I don't know, and have to, I'll have to get
See
back
who
to you
turns
on
up.
that.
See who turns up on the day.
It's we're recording this at night. My brain's turned off, so unfortunately, to break the illusion, I don't have the answer for you if it's Tom Evans or not. We'll see.
It
Find out,
just
I
adds,
guess, if he wins or not.
yeah. Well, it just adds to the excitement, doesn't it, of not knowing who's turning up. But it'd be good to know who is turning up for sure.
Yeah, I think we've got a few big names, some that I haven't announced yet, and some that obviously you guys can all see the rosters, so you can figure out who's there. But I think in the men and the women, there's just a really good whack. It's going to be really exciting. And there's some sort of training camps happening with some of the elite
Mm.
females and things
Yeah,
happening
I've seen
behind the
that. Yeah.
scenes together. So, I think that could be a good year. There could be some pretty good battles up the front. But actually, what's so nice about this sort of racing, isn't it? That even when it's at its most competitive, you still have that respect for each other. You're helping each other out a little bit. You're in these long moments together. It's unlike any other sport for that. I think ultra running, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the spines like specifically is like that as well, more than any other race as well, because I think everybody's aware of just how serious some things can get quite quickly in bad conditions, and from not last year, the year before, when Damien like sort of caught up with Jack Scott, who was like lost on the Cheviots, and basically like reeled him in and just basically dragged him to the finish line. That that doesn't happen in, I mean, it does happen in ultra running, but someone else of lesser character may have just decided to just sort of, oh, I can see him, he's going the wrong way and just gone past him and taken I mean, he did win anyway, didn't he? So
Yeah,
Damien that
yeah.
year. So he probably he made the right decision in both options there, didn't he? But I think it's one of those races that some conditions you're in and some situations you're in, you want to know that you can sort of rely on somebody. I had it myself this year when in January when I slipped and fell over and a guy came and sort of helped me up and gave me his poles and stuff. So it's one of those races where you do anything you can to help somebody else because it could be you in that situation.
Certainly could, and I think anyone that's been a part of any sort of event like this has had those moments where you've had someone, pat you on the back and say, "Come on, mate, you're doing well."
Mm.
And I think particularly the spine community, the men and women that make it up, and the whole team from volunteers to even just people on the street that see you going and give you a wee cheer on, the wee old ladies going to church on the Sunday or something like that see you running through the villages and they're a bit, that's all part of it, isn't it? And that's part of the spine experience. And the people that live along the Pennine Way support it, the mountain rescue teams that are out there giving it all their all. And it's just that unique blend, the spine, isn't it? That everyone, it's just the kind of magic of it
Mm.
that we
The
get,
spine, the
get to share.
spine family.
The spine family, yeah.
That's it, the spine family, and you do it. That's exactly it. So if there's anyone listening, watching that's contemplating wanting to sort of either sign up for the race or just volunteer in any way, then do it. It will be the best decision that you ever make.
That's exactly it. There's a space for everyone within the spine family, and that from watching it on your telly with the
Mm.
dots or the roundups to volunteering to running and everything in between. There's something for everyone, and yeah, everyone's welcome. It's
Yeah.
a great little community that's been built around this bonkers event.
It is bonkers. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, especially when you talk to normal people about the race and they like can't quite comprehend what you're talking about.
Playing some of my mates, even my running mates. I've got quite a lot of friends that are into the trail running and things like that. Even explaining to them some of the events, crazy. And their reactions are always priceless. Although I have managed to sign quite a few of my mates up for various events they're interested in, and they've put themselves on the wait list for a few. And so I think some of my pals will be out giving it a try. They've been caught up with a sort of ultra running infection that's
Yeah.
it's caught me. So
It's spreading like a virus.
yeah.
A good one though, a good virus for a
Absolutely.
change.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Well, appreciate you coming on, Cameron, and talking about, your sort of your background and everything and your role at the Spine Race and beyond the Ultimate and everything and looking forward to getting to work with you in January and hopefully I'll be able to do some form of media that will be pleasing to you.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, thank you very much for letting me come on and just chat at you for a bit. It's been a real pleasure. And yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited to get out there and meet some more of the spine community in January for the winter spine and then obviously for the Arctic spine as well in Feb. It's going to be
yeah,
it's a busy couple of months of
yeah.
exciting spine action.
That's exciting times ahead. Awesome.
Yes,
Right.
certainly is.
Appreciate you giving up your time, mate. Thanks for coming on and appreciate everything you do. Cheers, mate.
No worries. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks for listening, everyone.